How much time should you spend studying English? Difficult question. A lot of people ask me. I will give you an answer today. Also, there's a common mistake that a lot of you make. Very simple mistake that we need to talk about. All right, we need to sort this problem out. Both of those coming up and more on Fluent Football. If you are a coach, an analyst, or anyone working in the world of football and you think that your English might be a problem for your career, then don't forget that you can download my free ebook, Speak Fluent Football. It goes over the 3 keys you need to improve your English so that you can work in an English-speaking environment. Click the link in the description below to get it today. We're going to have a look at an article from The Athletic. It is a little bit of analysis of Manchester City's recent 3-0 victory over Bayern Munich in the Champions League. I will leave a link in the description to the article. However, you do need a subscription to read Athletic articles. So if you don't have one, get one. All right, here we go. We'll start with this little bit here, the high press. City made 18 high turnovers, open play sequences starting within 40 meters of the opposition goal, and 15 final third regains. The latter stat, their most in a Champions League game this season, with no other team having more in a single match. So we'll have a look here, high turnovers. A turnover is a change in possession when one team gets the ball off the other team. It is a turnover. High obviously means high up the pitch, close to the opposition's goal. In this case, they say it means 40 meters from the opposition's goal. This would be a high turnover. They also say 15 final third regains. When you gain something, it means you win something. For example, when you win a match, you get 3 points, you gain 3 points. So they mean they regain the ball. They lose the ball and then they gain the ball again. Basically, it's another word for a turnover, but it means they lost the ball and then they gained it again. Just looking down here on the graph, you've got high turnovers 18, and it shows you them all here. And then it says shot ending 2 and goal ending 1. So a shot ending high turnover or a shot ending turnover means there was a turnover, there was a change in possession, and at the end of this turnover, someone took a shot. There was a shot. And then the same thing here, a goal-ending turnover. There was a change in possession, and the end of this sequence was a goal, and obviously a shot also. Having a look at this little paragraph here, it's related to this picture. So, their press, their meaning Manchester City, their press matched Bayern's back 4 plus 2 defensive midfielders, the Joshua Kimmich and Leon Goretzka. So matched here. In this case, match means to make something equal. So 2 things are equal. In this case, they've got Bayern's back 4 plus 2 defensive midfielders. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the back 4. And then the 2 defensive midfielders. 6 players. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then you have City also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players. So their press is equal to the number of players that Bayern have at the back. So City match Bayern's defense. All right, this one here, this little sentence relates to this picture. You can see John Stones is here. It's got this arrow there. That's important. So John Stones, a centre back in a flat back 4, would step out to mark the roaming number 10, Jamal Musiala. So first one there, step out. When you step out, it's often used to speak about defensive players, but basically when you step out, you move out of your position. So you can see John Stones, he's not in his defensive line, he's moved out because he wants to mark Musiala here. And then we've also got this word roaming. So Musiala is roaming. When you roam, it means you move around constantly and you don't have a very specific position to be in. often used for strikers, maybe wingers. They will roam around. They move from one side of the pitch to the other, constantly moving, never staying in one specific position. All right, these two paragraphs relate to these two pictures here. So when they, again, they is City, when they pressed, Rodri and Gundogan tracked Kimmich and Goretzka. Bayern split their centre-backs wide to push the full-backs on, with goalkeeper Jan Sommer acting as a quarterback. There's quite a lot there. So split their centre-backs wide. So when you split something, you put something in the middle and make two things go out like this. So you split. So basically, you see the centre-backs are here. They are split wide. An interesting one here as well, Sommer acting as a quarterback. So a quarterback is a position in American football. It's the player that throws the ball. So Sommer is acting as a quarterback. He's not throwing the ball here, but he's kicking the ball high up the pitch. So The Athletic is an American company, so they're comparing it to an American sport. This made space to play over City's first two lines of pressure, like when Sommer picked out Benjamin Pavard's inverted run and put Bayern 4v4 with just one pass. So again, the idea of Sommer playing as a quarterback, he said he plays over the first two lines of pressure. So the lines of pressure are here. You see one, we've got Haaland and De Bruyne there. That's the first line of pressure. And then we've got these next four players. That is the second line of pressure. So the line of pressure are the players pressing up against the defense, or the defending players who are trying to play out from the back. Sommer picked out Benjamin Pavard's inverted run. This is an interesting phrase here. So pick out, when you pick someone out or pick out someone's run, it just means you pass to them, but it implies that the pass is very difficult. So maybe in this case, it's very long. It has to be very accurate. If you want to get the ball to Pavard, the pass needs to be very accurate, very precise. So we use the phrase pick out a player to say that the pass is difficult, but the pass is very precise. Benjamin Pavard's inverted run. So Pavard is a fullback, or a wingback. He plays very wide on the wing. An inverted run means that he comes inside. So he runs in towards the half space or towards the center. He's not staying out on the wing. He moves inside. This is an inverted run. All right, well, we'll finish up there with that one, guys. As you can see, there's a lot more to the article. There's a lot going on here. So I do recommend, for practice with your English, get on The Athletic and have a look at what they've got. You'll learn a lot. Of course, like I said, you need a subscription. If you don't have a subscription, you're an idiot and you don't deserve to learn English. No, I'm kidding. You can get a subscription. It's not too expensive. I recommend it. They're good for analysis. This is a common question, so let's talk about it. How much time should you spend practicing English? If you want to become fluent and feel confident when you're speaking English, and you want to feel that you have a very good level of English, how often and for how much time should you spend practicing English? Well, it's actually pretty simple. To get the results you want, to be a confident speaker, you need to practice, I think, for at least 4 hours every day. Every day. But if you can't do 4 hours every day, then we need to rethink this. Learning English is like every other skill. The more you do it, the faster you will improve. This is typical for anything that you want to get better at. If you can spend more time doing it, you will improve faster. However, a lot of people do get very focused on this idea of time. How much time? 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. How much time? And I think they don't focus enough on the quality of that time. So to explain what I mean, think about this. Think about two young footballers. They both want to improve their dribbling skills. One of those footballers spends, let's say, 20 minutes every day practicing his dribbling skills. The other one spends 10 minutes every day practicing his dribbling skills. Now, with that information, you would assume that the player who spends 20 minutes will improve faster than the other player who only spends 10 minutes practicing. However, what if that player who spends 20 minutes isn't very focused on the dribbling, isn't very focused on what he's doing? Maybe he's a little more concerned with getting some good videos and good photos to go up on Instagram or TikTok. But the other player spends 10 minutes very focused, highly engaged in what he's doing. Now you would probably say that this player will improve faster because he's got high quality time practicing his dribbling skills. It's the exact same thing with your English skills. The time you spend practicing and studying should be high quality. So how does that actually apply to your study? How do you make your study high quality? Again, very simple. If you want to have high quality studying time, what you should do is study nothing except grammar. Only grammar. 4 hours of grammar every day. Or you can focus on these two things: relevant content and comprehensible content. Relevant content means that the English that you are studying and practicing is something that you actually need and something that is interesting to you. So the reason I do these videos that focus on the English for football is that I work with football coaches and analysts and other people in the industry, and that is what they need to learn about. This is what they need to speak about, and it is what they find interesting. There are words and phrases that get used in football that are not used in any other context. Ask an English person who's not a fan of football what a false 9 is. They will probably say a 6. Comprehensible means that you can understand the content. If you're reading a book or watching a video in English and you understand nothing, you're probably learning nothing. I know a lot of you like to watch Netflix, but do you watch Netflix with the subtitles in your own language? If you turn those subtitles off, do you understand anything? If not, Netflix is probably not helping you. Sorry, Netflix is not a great English teacher. I know. I'm sad too. Now that we understand these ideas, let's go back to the original question. How much time should you spend studying? Well, how long is a piece of string? Really, you should spend as much time as you can, as long as that time is high quality. For example, with my students, I aim to get them doing about 2 to 3 hours every week of high quality study. This comes out to be about 20 to 30 minutes, 6 days a week. It's not a lot of time, but it is high quality time, because all the content, all the materials, all the activities are aimed at coaches and analysts and others. So they are relevant and they are adjusted to the needs and the levels of the students. So it is comprehensible. So therefore, the study time is high quality. So that's my big tip for this episode. Get yourself a routine like we talked about in the last time and focus on quality over quantity. Don't try to get 5, 6, 7, 8 hours packed into a week. It's better to get 2 to 3 hours of high quality, regular study and practice. Get that routine going and you will be on your way to speaking fluent football. Okay, a lot of people get this wrong. They make a lot of mistakes here. So we are going to talk about something that seems to confuse a lot of people. If I showed you this result for a football match, how would you tell somebody what the result is? How do you say the result of this match in English? People get this wrong all the time. So let's take a little time to look at the words you need to speak about matches, leagues, and results. First up, a game or a match. This is very basic, but just to make sure there's no confusion about it, when two teams play against each other in any competition, could be the Premier League, it could be the Champions League, it could be Serie B, it could be the 5th division of the Portuguese leagues, it doesn't matter. When two teams play against each other, you can call this a game or you can call this a match. Opponent. An opponent is the team that you play against. So if Liverpool play against Manchester City, Liverpool's opponent is Manchester City, and Manchester City's opponent is Liverpool. Very simple. They are the opponent. Fixture. So a fixture or the fixture is a list of matches for the future, the organized matches that are in the future. So when you look at that list of who is playing on the weekend, that is called the fixture. And if you have a match coming up, but you can't remember who the opponent is, you can check the fixture to remember. A knockout tournament. The Champions League and the World Cup are probably the best examples of a knockout tournament. This just means when you lose, you are out. You're finished. You're done. It's over. If you lose in a knockout tournament, you are knocked out. For example, PSG knocked out Dortmund from the Champions League. Stages, again, relating to the Champions League and the World Cup, they have two distinct stages. You have the group stage and the knockout stage. In the group stage, it works a little bit more like a typical league. When you win a match, you get points. Usually the top two teams, the teams with the most points, continue to the next stage, which is of course the knockout stage, which we just talked about. A tie. In the Champions League, when you get to the knockout stages, you will play 2 matches against the teams until you get to the final. The 2 matches together are commonly called a tie. A leg. Like we said, in the Champions League, you have a tie, which is 2 matches. Each match is called a leg. You have the first leg and then the second leg. Sometimes we call the second leg the return leg. Home. When you play at your stadium, your pitch, with your fans watching, this is called a home game or a home match. Away. When you play at your opponent's stadium on their pitch with their fans watching, we call this an away game or an away match. Winning and losing, let's talk about it. Winners, the team that wins. Losers, the team that loses. That's pretty easy. A victory or a win. The winners have a victory or a win. Be careful. We say you win the match or you win the game. We do not say you win the opponent. This is a big mistake a lot of people make. If Leicester play against Wolverhampton and Leicester win, you cannot say Leicester win Wolverhampton. What you would say is Leicester win against Wolverhampton, or you could say, more common, Leicester beat Wolverhampton. A defeat or a loss. The losers have a defeat or a loss. Again, we say lose a game or lose a match, not lose an opponent. Going back to our previous example of Leicester versus Wolverhampton, you cannot say Wolverhampton lost Leicester. This would mean that they can't find Leicester. They're looking around. No, you say Wolverhampton lost to Leicester, or again, more common, Wolverhampton were beaten by Leicester. A draw. When the score is the same, the result is the same for both teams, we call this a draw. So for example, if Barcelona play against Atletico Madrid, they both score 1 goal. You can say Barcelona drew with Atletico or Atletico drew with Barcelona. Means the same thing. All right, speaking about the scores and results, this confuses everybody. So, if Manchester City and Manchester United play against each other, City score 2 goals and United score 1 goal. That means that City beat United. The way we say the score is we just say the numbers. So you would say 2-1. So City beat Manchester United 2-1. or United lost to City 2-1. You don't need to say anything else, just the numbers. If United score 2 goals and City score 0, you can say United won 2-0. We commonly call 0 goals nil. You can say 0, but it's more common to say nil. If United score 1 goal and City score 1 goal, then we would say that the score was 1-all. When there is a draw, we use the word all. So we could say City drew against United 1-all, or United and City drew 1-all. And we do it for all numbers, 2-all, 3-all, or even 0-all. There you go, guys. If you have any other questions about leagues, matches, and how to express and speak about results, put the questions in the comments below and I will let you know. Cheers. All right, here we go with another YouTuber who knows more than I do about football analysis. So this is a short video from Ilko Shatori, who is a coach with a very long career in football. And he's got a great YouTube channel where he does quite a lot of analysis of what's happening around the world in football today. As always, you can find the link to his channel and to this particular video in the description below. So we'll watch the clip and then we will talk about some of the vocabulary. Here we go.
The first thing you see here is that Manchester City normally plays a 4-2-3-1, where Stones, the right back, in this case is this is the defensive setup, but offensively he moved into the midfield. You can see that here, basically playing a 3-4-3. Liverpool had problems with dealing with that, and Liverpool was playing a 4-2-2. Normally always play 4-3-3. Now, these are the areas where centre-backs were penetrating, and Liverpool was trying to solve that problem by the wingers putting pressure on those centre-backs. They always do that in a 4-3-3, like I line it up here. It would have been easier to do so. Why? Because you have an extra player on the midfield. You have 5 players to move over together. So, in my opinion, this should have been a better option, what they normally play. Because then you have like a 4-5-1, it would have been easier in my opinion. The second part, over occupying the center backs, 5 attackers versus 4 defenders. That was basically the whole concept of the video. Here you see the wing back in a 4-4-2 making press. The midfielder doesn't know who to pick up. Same for the wing back, he doesn't know who to pick up. It's on both sides. You see De Bruyne going to the outside. Midfielder is not able to catch. Wing back is stepping in too late, and then you get the pass forward, and it creates a goal. So 2 players, and midfielder and wing back, were not able to catch him. Also unclear who takes who, and you get this situation again up front. Then 4 against 3, 4 attackers versus 3 defenders, and you create the confusion. So overall, Liverpool had problems with the formation 4-4-2, normally 4-3. This is the defensive setup.
Set up. So this is basically just another way to say organization or formation. You can use it in a sentence like this: Liverpool's setup is a 4-3-3, or you could use it a bit differently and say Liverpool are set up in a 4-3-3.
Liverpool had problems with dealing with that.
Dealing. This is a bit of a tricky one. So we use the word deal when we talk about a problem. If you have a problem, you want to deal with the problem. It means you try to find a solution to the problem. Let's take the example of a big problem for everybody in the Premier League right now. Erling Haaland, he's scoring goals constantly, left, right, and center. I think he recently broke the record for the most goals scored in a Premier League season, which is insane because it's April. So you can say teams, they want to deal with Haaland. They want to deal with this problem. And you can say it for any problem. So for example, if your center back gets a red card, gets sent off, this is a problem. So you might want to make a substitution to deal with this problem, or you might want to change the formation to deal with this problem.
Now, these are the areas where centre-backs were penetrating, and Liverpool was
penetrating, moving into or attacking your opponent's area, part of the pitch that they control. We would say you penetrate this area of the pitch. If you are attacking, you have the ball in the defensive third and you pass into the midfield, then you can say you penetrate the midfield. If you pass the ball beyond the defensive line, or if someone makes a run beyond the defensive line, you can say they penetrate the defensive line.
The second part, over-occupying the center backs.
Over-occupy. So obviously Ilko explains this in the video, but just to make something clear, you can say overload an area of the pitch, but you can say over-occupy particular players. So you might say overload the midfield, or overload the final third, or overload a particular area, but you would say over-occupy the defensive line, over-occupy the defenders.
Midfielder doesn't know who to pick up. Same for the wingback, he doesn't know who to pick up. It's on both sides.
Pick up. Pick up is another way to say mark a player. When your team is defending, you might want your left back to mark, to pay attention to the winger, the attacking winger. So you would say the left back picks up the winger.
Midfielder and wingback were not able to catch him. Also unclear who.
Catch a player. You want to catch a player when that player is running and you are behind them. So if you're behind them and they're running in front of you, you're running very fast, you want to catch them. You want to get to the same area or same position as them. So we say catch someone or catch a player. Thanks a lot to Ilko for that video. Again, please go check out his channel, check out his videos. They're really good. The link is in the description below. All right, guys, question for today. How much time do you spend practicing your English? I'm curious to know. We talked today about time you need to spend when you're practicing. So how much time do you spend? And what kind of quality do you think you have? Do you think you have high quality study, or is it not so good? What do you think? Comment below and let me know. That's all from me today, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll catch you next time.